Hey everyone, what's up? How are ya? Hope you're fine. My name is Anya. It's time for some creepy videos again. So let's watch some horrifying things that happened on horror movie sets.
A lot of horror movies are legitimately scary, but in some cases, the events that took place on the sets of certain horror movies were more terrifying than the movies themselves. A number of horrifying incidents have taken place on the sets of some of the most successful horror movies of all time, before, during, or shortly after filming. Whether these incidents were fatal accidents, cruel twists of fate, or some sort of evil curse still remains debatable. Perhaps a good place to start would be the Amityville Horror House, whose events may start to seem even scarier when you learn that horrors also took place on the sets for both the 1979 movie and the 2005 remake. The first Amityville movie starred James Brolin, who wasn't originally eager to take on the role, but eventually he accepted it because of something strange that happened. While reading the script one morning and getting to a scary section of the story, a pair of the actor's pants suddenly fell off a hanger, causing him to literally jump out of his chair in fright. James of course saw this as a sign that he needed to take the role, and the rest was history. Fast forward to the 2005 remake, with Ryan Reynolds taking on the part that was originally played by James Brolin. During filming, Ryan Reynolds, along with other cast members, claimed that every morning at exactly 3:15 a.m. they would wake up. The reason why that's terrifying is because 3:15 a.m. was the exact time that Ronald DeFeo murdered his entire family in the house. And it becomes a
That
whole lot
sound
more
startled
creepy.
me.
At one point during filming, there was also an actual dead body that washed up near the filming set in the boathouse in the backyard of the house.
Oh, that's
Actors and
horrible.
crew members always suspected that there was an otherworldly presence during the filming of the movie. Whether they were right or just overly paranoid, who knows? The 2000
I'm just trying to think the whole time. I think I saw the old one, the 79 version, but I can't really remember. I've seen so many horror movies in my life. I know I haven't seen the remake, but I think I might have seen the old one, but if I did, I don't really remember anything from it.
2012 film The Possession is an unconventional horror movie that involves rabbis, Judaism, and a cursed Jewish relic called Dybbuk box that attaches itself to a young girl. A Dybbuk box is a wine cabinet
I've
claimed to
heard
be
of
haunted by a
different
Dybbuk, which
boxes.
is a malevolent wandering spirit that enters and possesses the body of a living person until exorcised. What happened on the set of The Possession left even the star of the movie, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, feeling very uneasy, and he already had a lot of experience acting in horror movies and shows under his belt. Some of the seemingly supernatural things that happened included lights exploding for no apparent reason, as well as chilly breezes wafting through closed sets for no particular reason. But the scariest incident occurred when the storage facility where all the movie props were being held caught fire and burned to the ground.
Oh,
A
jeez.
team of investigators concluded that the fire was not started from an electrical fault or arson, but the actual cause for the fire couldn't be determined. The Dybbuk box used in the movie, which played an important role in the movie, was destroyed in the fire, and the cast and crew later refused to allow the movie's producers to replace the Dybbuk box for fear that it was cursed.
So if that box burned, what happened to the spirit caught in it? As far as I understood, there's a spirit caught in it, so if the box burns, is that evil spirit set free? Does anyone know? And could please tell me? Although I'm not sure I want to know. Because, I mean, spirits don't just burn, do they? Oh, this is creepy. But I've never heard of the movie. I think I'm gonna put it on my list. My ever growing, endlessly long getting list. Okay, that wasn't correct grammar, but you know what I mean.
The Conjuring is a movie that's supposed to be based on the true story of the Perron family, who claimed to be tormented by supernatural entities in their Rhode Island home in the 70s.
Oh, I've
While
heard
several
so
of the
much
family
about
members
this.
spent time on the set during filming, the mother refused to go anywhere near it, as she was convinced that several unexplained events that plagued the filming of this movie on set were proof that the spirits hadn't finished with them yet. For instance, when members of the Perron family were visiting, a furious gust of wind suddenly rose and seemed to swirl around them. However, nobody could see any movement in any of the trees just opposite them, movement you'd expect to see from any normal gust of wind. Just a couple days later, the hotel that the actors and movie crew were staying in caught fire and everyone had to be evacuated. And it doesn't end there. James Wan, the movie's director, recalls working late in his office one evening when his dog started growling at something. He would get up to investigate, but he couldn't find anything that would be antagonizing the dog. However, the dog had his sights on something across the room. It seemed he had focused on an unseen entity in one corner of the room. James took a break from working after this, having been legitimately freaked out. Vera Farmiga, who played the role of a paranormal investigator in the film, refused to take the script home with her, as she said it made her feel uneasy. She also couldn't read it at night because she became paralyzed by fear whenever she tried.
I can kind of relate to that. I've read shit that was so creepy I couldn't go on, but why would she take that role then if it freaks her out so much? I mean, ugh.
After a phone call discussion with James Wan, Vera opened her laptop screen and there were 3 digital claw marks from the upper right diagonal to the lower left. This wasn't the last time it happened though. Her next experience came a few months later, literally on the day that she completed work on The Conjuring. She returned home to upstate New York, and when she woke up the next day, she discovered what she describes as 3 claw mark bruises across her thigh. In 1983, a movie based on the Twilight Zone series was released. During filming, actor Vic Morrow was killed on the set. Deaths on movie sets have happened many times, but what makes this extra disturbing is the fact that Morrow appeared to predict his demise just a year earlier. A year before filming of the Twilight Zone movie began, Vic took out a $5 million life insurance policy on himself, explaining to friends and family members that he had a premonition something bad was going to happen to him on an upcoming movie. He had seen it in a dream he had. Unfortunately, his premonition came true, because while filming a scene involving a helicopter for the Twilight Zone, the helicopter crashed and decapitated him. 2 child actors were also killed in the accident, which prompted a lengthy investigation and court case. It was later revealed in court that the movie's concept artist unintentionally drew an identical image in his sketches to what actually happened, a burned out helicopter in the middle of a river, essentially foreshadowing the accident. The accident led to civil and criminal action against the filmmakers, which lasted nearly a decade. One of the children's fathers testified that he heard John Landis, the director, instructing the helicopter to fly lower. All 4 parents testified that they were never told that there would be helicopters or explosives on set, and they had been assured that there would be no danger, only a lot of noise. John Landis and 4 other crew members would be found not guilty on the 3 charges of manslaughter, having been the first time a director was charged due to a fatality on a film set. The 1976 film The Omen is another horror classic following the tale of a young boy named Damien Thorne, who was replaced at birth by his father, unbeknownst to his wife, after the—
Sorry, I was just still lost in thought. It's I mean, if you've watched enough of my videos, you know I have this very, very, very soft spot for kids, and it tears me up when children die, because you're not supposed to die as a child, you know. And this, I can in no way understand what it must feel like for a parent to lose a child, because I don't have children. I can just imagine it the most horrible thing to feel. And yeah, never mind. I don't know where I'm going with this. It's just, you know, you let your kids play in a movie and it kills them. It's just one of the gazillion horrible things that happen to people in this world. It's yeah, never mind. It's just this shit happens. I'm not, with which I'm not trying to disrespect any of the involved. It's just that's how I cope with shit. You know, just shit happens. It's okay. Yeah, The Omen. I think I'm pretty sure I've seen that one. I just don't remember anything of it though. Must have been 30 years ago or so.
Named Damien Thorne, who was replaced at birth by his father, unbeknownst to his wife, after their biological child died shortly after birth. As a series of mysterious events and violent deaths occur around the family and Damien enters childhood, they come to learn he's in fact the Antichrist. the film almost wasn't going to be completed due to an alleged curse that surrounded filming of the movie. So many horrible things happened on the set of The Omen that it can be comparable to the amount of bad things to happen in the movie. The tragedies began with the son of the lead actor Gregory Peck taking his own life as soon as filming began. The next incident was when a crew member suffered major injuries after getting into a car accident while driving to the set. But the tragedies didn't stop there. The scriptwriter's airplane was struck by lightning en route to the film's location. And if that weren't enough, an airplane in which Gregory Peck and the movie's executive producer were traveling in was also struck by lightning in a separate incident. Harvey Bernhard, the producer, was...
That must be so scary. I mean, I've spent a lot of time in airplanes when I was young. I've flown in typhoons twice, and I'm pretty sure there must have been a thunderstorm here and there. I don't really remember it. I know you're safe in a plane because it's a Faraday's cage. Yeah, I think that's the correct English term. But yet, I mean, stuff can happen, eh? And it's just... Yeah, never mind. Why did I get carried away with this now?
On
Sorry.
location, was struck. An airplane in which Gregory Peck and the movie's executive producer were traveling in was also struck by lightning in a separate incident. Harvey Bernhard, the producer, was on location in Rome when he was almost hit by a bolt of lightning himself, and believe it or not, the horrible luck involving airplanes continued, and it got much worse. One day, the crew had decided to use a private airplane to get from one film location to the other. However, just after the plane took off with a number of the crew on board, something went wrong and the plane went down, crashing into a road and hitting a car, which then crashed at a high speed into another vehicle. All 11 people involved in the accident were killed.
Jesus.
Another tragic death associated with the movie set was that of Liz Moore. John Richardson, the Omen special effects expert, was driving through the Netherlands with Liz Moore when they were involved in a terrible car accident. Richardson escaped with very minor injuries, but Moore's head was completely severed when a tire smashed into their vehicle. This incident was eerily reminiscent of a scene in The Omen, in which the character Keith Jennings, investigating Damien's supernatural origins, is decapitated by a sheet of glass that comes loose from a vehicle on a construction site. Richardson later reported that just before the crash, he passed a road sign that read Omen 66.6 kilometers.
Is there really such a sign? I mean, it's gotta be a bad joke. Like a really bad one. Who the fuck, which sane person would set up a sign like that?
What you will, but there's no denying that it's not too far off to speculate that the production of The Omen may have been cursed. That, or it was all just an outrageous coincidence. All that can be said for sure is that The Omen is a very iconic movie, and the chilling tales that surround its production have only helped to cement that legacy.
A couple of years ago, oh, it's over, okay. I always wanted to see The Omen again, but meanwhile... There was a whisper. Meanwhile, I don't. And honestly, I'm not sure whether I want to see that. What was it? The Possession or The Possessed or something? I'm not really that sure I want to see that again. My relationship to horror movies has changed over the last couple of years. I like to see funny horror movies. I've watched a whole lot of horror movies last summer, or, well, last year. Summer, not this year. I've watched a handful. And somehow, I don't know, I don't like this feeling anymore that I get from like real scary horror movies. I like the squirmish, weird feelings when you watch funny horror stuff or with zombies or, you know, monsters, just stuff that's not too real. But movies that really elicit fear, I don't know. I don't like them anymore. Maybe it's because I have these anxiety issues since last year that I don't need the double and triple fear. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just me changing to the better. Yeah, well, never mind. No, but there's there's a second part to this, so yeah, see you in a second because we're gonna watch that as well. All right, let's go on with the second part.
This is a part 2 to the recent video I did of the scariest things to happen on horror movie sets. One of the movies on that list was The Conjuring, and coincidentally, the first movie on this list will be Annabelle, a movie that takes place in the same universe as The Conjuring. The first spin-off film was released in 2000.
I know Annabelle, but I think have I seen it? No, I don't think I've seen it. I missed out on a whole lot of movies these last probably 10 years or so, because somehow, I don't know, that there was nothing that made me want to watch these movies. Not only horror movies, just most of the movies made. I see the trailer and it's like, meh, boring. I don't know if it's the movies or if it's me. And honestly, I don't really care anymore. I miss watching movies. I miss watching good movies, but whatever. I don't know.
2014, and was directed by John R. Leonetti, who claims to have experienced not one, but 2 supernatural occurrences while on set. The first came when he claimed to have seen 3 fingers drawn through dust on set multiple times, which is disturbing because the demonic doll the movie is named after has 3 fingers. The second came when they shot their first scene with the demon actor in all his makeup. They were filming in an old apartment building near Koreatown, Los Angeles, when the demon actor went up the elevator and headed to where the other actors were. But as he was walking down a hallway, a giant glass light fixture fell on an actor's head who was playing a janitor. To make matters even creepier, in the script, that same hallway is where the demon kills the janitor, and the creepy on-set occurrences of the Conjuring universe don't end there. Corin Hardy, who directed The Nun, says that during production, he saw 2 men in a room he was filming in at a castle in Romania. He assumed they were just crew members. After completing the take, he turned to the men, but they were gone. To make things freakier, they would have had to pass him to leave the room. The 1982 movie The Poltergeist is a movie that is rumored to have been cursed. It's believed that this curse started after Steven Spielberg and Tobe Hooper decided to use real skeletons.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot about how nearly everyone from this movie died. That is so tragic. That is, jeez, I've seen that movie so often, and it was only, I don't know, not that long ago, maybe just 8 years or 10 years ago, where I read up on everything on the internet, you know, and found out about everyone dying. I mean, I know the little girl who played Carol Ann. I found out pretty soon after she died back in the days. She died on my 12th birthday, so there's kind of this weird connection, you know, to her. I mean, she died on my birthday. She was, I think, wasn't she my age? Was she a year older or younger? Something like that. And I was pretty young when I found out, so that really shocked me. Yeah.
During a scene where Jobeth Williams' character falls into a swimming pool filled with skeletons, which, unbeknownst to the cast, the skeletons were actually real, since using real ones would be cheaper than buying fake ones at the time.
No, that just sounded stupid. Me saying that's just the worst. I mean, using real skeletons isn't worse than real people dying, but I mean, like, in the sense of using props that are real skeletons, like, what the fuck? How could you? I mean, that is so disrespectful to these, I mean, yeah, sure, they're just empty corpses. There's no life in them. There's no soul, no spirit, no nothing left of them. But still, that were people once. How can you use them as props? I find that so utterly disrespectful to these people, or to the people they once were, to the people who are filming with the skeletons, to the former relatives of these corpses, or the skeleton. Like, Jesus Christ.
The majority of the fuel.
Plus, it can't be very sanitary. Never mind.
For the alleged curse stems from the deaths of multiple cast members. In total, 4 cast members died during and soon after the filming of the series. Carol Ann Freeling, the young protagonist of the trilogy, was played by Heather O'Rourke, and she was only 6 years old when the first Poltergeist film was released. Sadly, she was misdiagnosed with Crohn's disease in 1987, and the following year, she got sick again and was misdiagnosed with simply having the flu. One day later, she collapsed and suffered a cardiac arrest. She died that day during an operation to correct a bowel obstruction. Dominique Dunn, who played the original older sister Dana Freeling, met an equally tragic and unforeseen fate.
I love that movie.
In November of 1982, Dominique's ex, John Sweeney, who she had recently cut ties with, showed up at her house pleading for her to take him back. When she refused, he grabbed her neck and choked her until she was unconscious, leaving her to die in her driveway. Sweeney was sentenced to a horrendously lenient 6.5 years in prison, but was released after only 3 years and 7 months.
Oh, that sounds totally like a German sentence. He wouldn't have gotten more here.
Julian Beck played the evil preacher Cain from Poltergeist 2.
Oh, that
In
did creep me out.
1983, Julian had been diagnosed with stomach cancer, which took his life soon after he finished work on the second installment of the series. The same film was met with further tragedy after Will Sampson, who played Taylor the Native American shaman, died after undergoing a heart-lung transplant, which had a very slim survival rate.
Oh, right, he was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest as well. Although I'm not quite sure whether I saw that, but I've read it, and I think I heard did I also listen to the audiobook? But I know his face, and I always associate it with him with that Poltergeist and what's the other, Jack Nicholson, yeah.
Poltergeist remains a movie with one of the highest amount of tragedies to hit its cast members. Heather O'Rourke was believed to have haunted the set of another movie though, the 1990 film Ghost. Not as much a horror movie, just a movie about the afterlife, but some believe there may have been a real supernatural presence on set. The movie involved Paramount Studios' Stage 19, where the sitcom Happy Days was filmed, a sitcom that Heather starred in 12 episodes for. Workers from the stage have experienced inexplicable power outages and have heard laughter late at night, laughter reminiscent of Heather. One night shift security guard who worked Stage 19 told about the paranormal activities that go on at the studio. The security guard claimed that almost every night he would hear running and laughing on the catwalk above the set, which is where Heather liked to play when she was on the set for Happy Days. The security guard also told that sometimes workers would see the little girl playing on the stage. When asked what they do when they see her, the security guard replied that they usually just tell her to leave and she runs off. On the set of Ghost was no different, as multiple crew members have claimed to hear the young girl running around in the catwalks above the stage and laughing. The Exorcist is undeniably one of the most well-known horror movies of all time, having become a household name. But lesser known is the fact that it's also notorious for having a supposedly haunted set. One of the eeriest examples is that the set of the McNeil's house caught fire. The Exorcist was faced with multiple production delays, but the first was by far the worst. The set for Regan's family home burned down in 1972 after a bird flew into the circuit box.
Oh, jeez.
The only part of the set that survived was the bedroom where the exorcisms would take place, with the chances of that being very slim. This set production of the movie back significantly, and led to shooting taking over a year. After the incident, a real priest was called in to bless the set. During filming, Ellen Burstyn, who played the mother, Chris McNeil, suffered a spinal injury while being hoisted around on a harness. She claims to have been screaming to turn the cameras off and to stop pulling her, which was all dismissed or ignored. She was left on crutches for the rest of the production.
I had a rig around my midriff with a wire coming out the back, and the stuntman was pulling me too hard. I can get hurt. And Billy said, well, it has to look real. I said, I understand, but I'm telling you, I could get hurt. And the stuntman was standing there listening to this, and Billy said to him, okay, don't pull her so hard. But as I turned away, I felt them exchange a look. You see me hit, and you see me reach for my back. I screamed in horrendous pain. Billy motioned to Owen to tilt the camera down on me.
The moment she fractured her lower spine was actually the footage that's in the movie, and the screams you hear in the movie are not acting, rather actual cries of pain. but the crew assumed she was only acting. But the real curse of the movie would be the deaths linked to the movie. They included Jack McGowran, who played the film director Burke Dennings. Ahead of the film's release, Jack tragically died from complications related to influenza. Vasiliki Maliaros, who played Father Damien Kara's mother, also passed away that same year before The Exorcist was released, reportedly dying of natural causes. Both of their characters in the movies also died. During the production, a number of the cast and crew, including Linda Blair, who played Regan, and Max von Sydow, who played Father Merrin, also lost family members, and the son of Jason Miller, who played Father Karras, had a near-fatal motorcycle accident during filming. The 1968 film Rosemary's Baby follows a failing actor who agrees to give up his wife's womb to Satan so he could have a taste of fame. It was an instant hit, but the satanic overtones of the film have led people to believe the film had been cursed, and a number of the cast and crew had suffered horrible fates because of it. To start,
I've seen that one too, I don't know how many years ago, and I didn't like it. It left such a ugh feeling in me that I just never wanted to see it again, and never have since then.
the composer
And yeah, and still don't ever want to see it again, because that feeling, no, nah.
for the soundtrack of the movie, Krzysztof Komeda, died in 1969 after falling off a rocky slope at a party. He had entered a coma for 4 months until passing away. This is very similar to the death of the character Hutch in Rosemary's Baby, but if anybody were to have been hit the hardest by the alleged curse, it would have to be the film's director, Roman Polanski. Initially, he wanted to include his wife Sharon Tate in the film as Rosemary, but was overruled by the producer Robert Evans, who fought to cast Mia Farrow. Sharon was instead cast as an unnamed background character in a single party scene. A year after the film was released, Sharon and some of her friends were staying in a rented house in Los Angeles when Tex Watson and some girls from the Manson family broke in. The Manson family was a gang or cult led by Charles Manson that was active in California in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Tex Watson and the girls killed Sharon and all of her friends, inflicting more than 100 piercing wounds total among the 4 victims.
So crazy.
Sharon Tate was 8 months pregnant when it happened. The alleged curse of the movie doesn't stop there, though. The Dakota is a famous building in New York, which served as the exterior for the apartments in Rosemary's Baby. But little did a lot of people know that it was the site of John Lennon's murder. The Dakota's Gothic style was a perfect choice for the movie, as it's exactly what you'd expect the home of witches to look like. The producer Robert Evans claimed that the whole time he felt uncomfortable in and near the building while on set. After the film was released, one of the producers, William Castle, was hit with kidney stones, and he claimed that during surgery, he began to hallucinate scenes from the film and even shouted, "Rosemary, for God's sake, drop that knife." He later admitted in his autobiography that he was overall very frightened of Rosemary's Baby.
Maybe people shouldn't partake in these movies if it disturbs them so much. I mean, ever since I did that one video a couple of weeks ago about demons from the Leonore Clay, or The Darkest Secret, I've been thinking about this topic a lot, and I think I was wrong on a lot of the things I said in that video, considering demons. And well, in that sense, I think making these kind of movies might, I don't want to say conjure demons, but just set energies in motion that cause things. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, that would be my guess to the whole thing. Or maybe it's just some sort of self-fulfilling prophecy when somebody is so scared by partaking in a movie like this that it will cause that you cause yourself harm. Just out of fear and being careless, because fear kind of makes you careless, although because you're so over, no, not over, you're just so enwrapped in fear, you try to take care so much that it makes you careless, because you have this tunnel vision. At least that's my experience with fear. Yeah, never mind. I'm going way too deep into this again, and letting myself be pulled down, because it was sad. I mean, what was I expecting when I watched this kind of stuff? Yeah, well, you guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you were, I don't know, creeped out as well, or something of the sort. Have a great day or a great night, and see you in the next video. I was just thinking video or episode. No, video. Bye.